So next we want to talk about some payment methods that are available. So what are some different ways that we could pay? We have a lump sum cash offer. That is 20% down payment. So right at the moment you submit the offer, you're going to do 20% down. You have 5 or fewer installments. Now that's going to be due. You have within 5 months after the date your offer is accepted. Now it doesn't require that they're perfectly 5 months, like I do month 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. It just has to be paid by the 5th month, and you can be the one to tell them how you want that to be determined. So right on the offer, the 656, you say, this is what I offer. I'm going to pay this amount down. So of my $78,000, if that was my offer, I would have to figure 20% of that down and divide the rest of that into however I could have it paid within 5 months after accepted. In that case, you're going to have to take your income at a 12 multiplier and add your equity. There's also the periodic payment offer. So that one, you make your first payment with the offer, and the remaining balance is to be broken out into monthly payments between 6 or 24 months, whichever, within that scale you want to choose. Has to be paid within the minimum of 6 or maximum of 24 months of the date your offer is submitted. So here's the difference. You make the offer with a payment, and you continue to make monthly payments consistently, even while they're just reviewing that offer. So that one is the one, if they miss one of those payments, you're in essence withdrawing that offer from the IRS. So in that case, if you're doing periodic payment, you'd use a 24 multiplier plus available equity. As you can see, there's a definite difference between the two. Now, we don't ever want to set up the taxpayer to fail, so we want to set up one that we know they can manage. A lot of times they like to spread it out, but if they have a higher available income, this is going to make for a higher offer. I mean, that's just how it works. If you have a very, very low monthly income, then it may not make that much difference in your overall offer. How they're going to apply this payment, no matter, if you do the 20% down, if you're talking about the monthly payments, the taxpayer has the right to designate. Right on the 656, they'll ask you, where do you want this to apply to? If you do not designate, they hold the right to designate where they should apply it, and they're going to apply it in the best interest of the government. So why would you even care about where it's going to be applied? Because you always got to think of your plan B. What if in some weird event you can't get this to go through? Now, you're going to submit offers, especially after learning how to properly that you really think are going to go through, but what if they don't accept it? What's your plan B? Maybe you're going to say, I have a really, really old tax debt that's going to expire relatively soon, even though we know it's going to extend the statute. Maybe I don't want all my payments to apply towards that tax. I want them to apply towards more current ones and get rid of those first. There may be reasons that you want to apply in a different manner. Just pay attention to that and designate those payments ahead of time. Any payments are considered a non-refundable payment of tax. So even the ones you designate, they're going towards that past due bill. They have a user fee that's been up to $186. They're talking about making that a bigger amount as well, but right now it's $186. That reduces tax, and you can't designate where you want that to go, and you can't get any sort of a refund on that. But the new rules suggest it could be returned if they cannot process it because you didn't file all the tax returns. So it's hinted at that you could get that back, but I really wouldn't trust that too much. Just know, and I often just recommend the clients, hey, this is the application fee, and this is the dollar amount you have to consider. It's going to go towards their taxes. There is a proposal to increase the fee again, and they talked about making it effective at the beginning of this year, but it hasn't been approved. Just know on the horizon, I wouldn't be surprised if that suddenly changes or they want to approve that. That's one of the ways they're trying to help defray some of the costs, honestly, of their budget shortfalls. There is also, and they have the authority to, they might actually waive required payments. So no 20% down, no installments, or no fee, no user fee of the $186 if they are a qualified low income, which is below poverty level, taxpayer. It's actually called a low income certification. If they are a doubt as to liability offer, well, they can actually waive that because technically those don't really, we're saying we don't believe we owe the tax anyway. But your doubt as to collectability one is the more common one. They have the right to say they're below poverty levels. We're going to not require the user fee in this case. How would you know that? It's actually calculated right there on the 656 form. So a little bit about these two forms. The 433A OIC, that's the biggest the biggest and most important item in an offer and compromise. That financial information, that's where you're also spending the most time putting together documentation. That's where you're putting all the effort into to show that particular agent that's working on this how to understand your client in the same way that you know them now. You're going to document all these different items, how you came up with all these values. That's where the bulk of it's done. The 656 form, that is your offer and compromise form per se, but almost all of it is contract. It is almost all contract. You have a little bit that here's my proposed amounts. Now those amounts come right from the other form, the 433A OIC. Here is the 656. It's my contract. It's my proposal of payments, and it's do I qualify for that low income certification. So that's really what your 656 is. You have your client, or here's our office procedure. We have our client sign that form. I want them to understand all of the contract that they're signing up for, and they're going to sign off on it. Now, you as a representative, you have power of attorney, you're a CPA, an enrolled agent, an attorney, you can sign that, but I kind of would advise against it because you want your client to be the one. They're signing under penalty of perjury and they understand the terms. You want to attach all documentation of financial worksheets, and you want to mail it to the appropriate processing unit. So Holtzville in the east, and this is where the client is located, by the way. So if they're located in the east, you'll send it to Holtzville. If they're located in the west, you'll send it to Memphis. But it's not perfectly logical. It's not like we split the U.S. in a perfect straight line. So where you want to go is the instructions to the 656. So like California follows the east, as weird as that is. So what you'll do is you'll package it up, you'll make it as neat as possible. The better you can put this together for the offer unit and make it logical where you got all your calculations, the easier it's going to be for them as well. So what happens next? What is the process from here? Well, if it's rejected, you have the right to do an administrative appeal. You have 30 days to file Form 13711 with the IRS if it's rejected. You have an option then to submit another offer if you like, but it cannot be the same offer as before. It has to be substantially different even to go through that process again. So substantially different, what would that be? You find out your taxpayer had a drastic change of circumstances. All the income they had before that you reported, they're now unemployed, or they got injured on the job, or something dramatic happened. That could be a substantially different offer. You're okay to submit that again, but it can't be basically the same thing as what it was before because they didn't accept that one before. You might have the ability to do a tax court petition, but there's special circumstances that may apply. Those special circumstances could be, let's say that you did a collection due process appeal, and throughout that appeal, you submitted an offer as one of the things to consider, but they didn't accept your offer. Well, you might actually, because it was a proper CDP, have the ability to petition the tax court now. Or you might have a couple other limited cases, but you have to be able to have the right to petition. It's not that you just have one automatically. You could instead do, if your offer isn't accepted, let's say that you just do something different. Plan B is an installment agreement or a partial pay installment agreement. You might want to just try something different entirely. But on the other side, let's say everything you did was great, it was accepted. I mean, definitely time of celebration. You did everything right, but what happens from here? And we talked about this before, but we got to remind our clients because they're always going, well, wait, they took my refund. I paid all those payments they needed on my offer, and now they got extra. Yep, like we told you that since this right now, this is the calendar year that you applied in, those refunds are going to be taken for that calendar year. Oh, yeah, you did mention that. You also, and this is sometimes a surprise to the client, now, we mentioned the terms. What are those terms? The contract is they're signed up for 5 years of probation or good behavior. 5 years. That's satisfying every term of their contract. They don't have to release a lien until all the terms of that contract are satisfied. So they may not release a lien for 5 years. I mean, the IRS can release a lien if they want, but ultimately there's no requirement to. It is not released until they meet all the terms of that contract. It's kind of like just making sure they're on probation. We're going to see if they do what they're supposed to. Also, the information is available for public review. Now, you have to know where to find it, but for all tax amounts that have been compromised or, written off, for lack of a better word, that information is available. It's not like they publish it in somebody's local paper, but on the IRS registers, you can find this information and it's out there. And so if you have somebody that isn't expecting that, it's good to at least inform them. Last of all, I wanted to go over additional resources. Where can we go and find a little bit more? We can ask others in the community. There's canopytax.com community. I put my email address out there so that you have a way to reach out to me if you wish. The education director's email. There's certainly one of the greatest tools that you can find is the transcripts for doing anything, any representation. I would not at all undertake that. I wouldn't go forward with even trying to do that without having transcripts, because before submitting that, how do you really know that all those tax returns are filed? How do you really know what amounts that you want to include on that offer? Because you want to include every single amount that person owes. The offer is 100% of everything that you want to consider. So look into that. You don't even try to do representation without having good transcripts. The other thing that we do through TaxEdge is we offer to accountants a little bit of extra help. If you're feeling like you know just enough to be dangerous, or you just don't feel comfortable yet, or maybe you don't have the time to handle those cases and you want a little piece of that potential revenue, we can do one-on-one consulting, where we can help you out just a little bit with some questions, or maybe a technical question on a case, or we can do casework for you. That way you get a little piece of that. If you would like to go that route, you get a portion of the fees, and we can take on that casework, and it's basically I'm on the hook in that sense. So you can email us or call us anytime, and I would love to assist you if that is something that would assist. Otherwise, I'm really glad that you joined us for today's course. I hope that you would consider going ahead and looking into the intermediate and advanced courses. We cover a whole lot more information, but at this point, I'm hoping you've learned a little more than you started with, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Like Tanya said, we are very appreciative of you taking the time to be on the course today. There's some information that you can get a hold of us. We hope that you'll take advantage of it. Let us know how we did. Give us some reviews, and let Tanya know how she did. We hope that you'll take the intermediate and advanced courses that we have on offer in Compromise, as well as a slew of other courses that Tanya does with us. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you on a future webinar.